Something I recently realized that I should probably talk about, because I just simply haven't talked about it yet, but I brought it up many times, is that of moral relativism. Along with knowing a lot about politics, US history, I'm also someone that knows a decent amount about moral philosophy. I've just always found it very interesting. I take classes for it, and I just love the topic. It's very interesting. So I'm going to impart some of my knowledge about it. What I'm going to talk about is relativism, moral relativism, and how stupid it is. I've brought it up briefly. I figured I should explain it in much more detail, what it really is, and why it is really so bad. Especially for my next video. My next video is really going to lean on moral relativism. So it's good to know what it means for that one. First of all, what it is. It says that there is no, at least the version that I'm talking about, that there is no set moral rules. There's no absolute. It's the opposite of absolutism. Absolutism, by the name, says there are absolute moral values that we have to adhere to. Someone who was very famous in this would be like Kant. He was someone who was very absolute. He said it's either all or none. You have to always, no matter what. You can never lie, even if it means it would kill, like someone died because of it. You still have to follow it. That's what it is. Absolutism. This one is a lot more flexible, but too flexible. If you take these at both tail ends, it's pretty bad. Here, it doesn't. You're just saying that it's all relative. That there are no said good or bad things. It's relative to the times, and that because that's what your community, your culture, your times are doing, that means it's automatically good. One of the things it does is allow for unbelievably awful things to be seen as moral, like potentially cannibalism in certain cultures. Yes, there's reasons behind it, but you still wouldn't say it's morally good. Relativism would say it is morally good. They would say that murder is morally good. They would say, honestly, probably the Holocaust is morally good, or that we can't judge it. They're saying that it's just like, who am I to judge? It's like that argument saying, oh, who am I to judge if they're killing a bunch of kids, committing genocide? They just they say it's just cultural differences, and that because it's different you can't critique it, and it's not moral, it's not better or worse, it's just different. It doesn't give a solution, it doesn't say what's good, it just says if you're doing it then it's good, essentially. I believe lots of us follow that in this times. We say because we're doing it, that means it's automatically good. We're starting to be a little more flexible, we're starting to understand that's not really the case. Like with marijuana, for many decades it was seen as if you did it you were a bad person. Now it's started to shift, starting to realize it doesn't mean you're a bad person, even though the law said you were a bad person. Or prisoners, we still think that prisoners are all awful people and they should be locked up and sent away with a key thrown away, whatever. But I at least, because they are human, you can't, if you dehumanize someone you can get a genocide. It's like how I've talked about before, you can't dehumanize people. We need to look at our culture and realize just because it's what we practice and just because that's what we were brought up on, it doesn't mean it's inherently good. Just because something's illegal doesn't mean it's wrong. Like marijuana, I've said. Just because it was illegal did not mean it was wrong. It's legal now. We're not having really any issues with it. It's just making the world better. We can change it. We can call for reform. And I believe also people look through this lens a lot when talking about history. They now analyze history and they say, oh, it's just relative to the times. For the times, it was good. Doesn't mean that they're good. Like Abraham Lincoln, he was a proud racist. He was definitely racist. He believed black people were below him. He believed they should self-deport themselves to Africa. He wanted them to stay separate. That's why he allowed for 40 acres and a mule, because he wanted them to be away from him and other white people. But people argued that it's okay because for the times he was very progressive. Does that matter? He was still bad. He still did bad things. He still did bad things, even if it was decent for the times. You People are made up of their actions. You are the sum of your actions. And if the sum of your actions, or in my opinion, if there are a few actions that are so overwhelmingly good or bad, then that is more an idea of who you are. Like if someone lived their whole life as amazingly, they were, I don't know, they were a saint their whole life, but they committed a mass murder, they're now probably a bad person because they did something so overwhelmingly bad that it kind of cancels it out. Oh yes, they live most of their life as a great person. They do this one thing that's so bad, doesn't matter. At least that's how I view morality, as well as the fact that relativism is the antithesis to change. It advocates for keeping everything the same. It advocates for saying this system is good. We have the best system possible because that's what we're practicing. It's so stupid, and we need to move past that. Not only when looking at the past, but looking at the present. We need to realize that just because something's illegal, just because something is legal, just because something is socially permissible or not permissible, it doesn't mean it's wrong or good. We need to look at things more critically.